Why didn't she just come clean about her op-ed being about Johnny Depp, for example, something she later accidentally confessed on cross-examination but first denied to the jury? Why didn't she just admit that Poopgate was an outrageous prank she and her friend played at a time she was feeling deeply wounded and angry at her husband, instead of blaming it on a 4-pound teacup Yorkie? Why didn't she just tell the jury, I did pledge my divorce money to charitable organizations, but then I started to worry about my career prospects and thought I might need to save it for myself instead. I shouldn't have said I'd already donated it. I'm embarrassed that I never paid. She lied about these things because they either reflect poorly on her or might have undermined her case. But the lies did more damage than owning these things could have ever done. And they were obvious. Unlike the battles over her abuse claims, where there was evidence that could go either way, these were gimmies. The truth was quite plain to anyone watching, and yet she couldn't and wouldn't own it. To the extent there is now more skepticism of the next woman's claim, Miss Heard has only herself to blame. Heard's lawyer was on the Today Show this morning blaming cameras in the courtroom and the Coliseum-like atmosphere that resulted on social media, suggesting the jurors had to be influenced by all of that. Live by the sword, die by the sword, madam. Your client was the one who made this thing public in her request for a restraining order against him in 2016, in her multiple leaks to TMZ, making sure that they would photograph her allegedly bruised face that day, in her leaks of the tape showing Johnny Depp slamming cabinets, etc., which conveniently edit out the part at the end where she laughs at him. And of course, in her Washington Post op-ed, calling him an abuser and painting herself as a survivor.
I want to just point out two things in this segment. First, you talked about Poopgate. Some of my Nigerian and African audiences might not, I don't know if you get the message there, because you might not know the story or the phraseology there. Poopgate refers to the fact that it was revealed during the case that, I think by Johnny Depp, of course, that she actually defecated on, and to get back at him, she defecated and covered it up on the bed. And that was something she then wrote a note or left a message for him that she had left a gift for him. And then, so I think he showed the picture or so to one of his assistants or security. I can't remember who it was, but the point is she did that. And then I think when it came up during the trial, she tried to pass it off as if it's something that happened involuntarily. In other words, this 2-pound Yorkie, it's kind of a drink, something she must have made up that upset her stomach and made her poop. Made her pass excreta involuntarily. It wasn't that it was deliberate, but actually, eventually during the court interactions, it was found that she did do it deliberately, and it was supposed to be a kind of a prank on the husband. Now, then you heard this lady again saying that she chose to publicize the case by leaking stories to the public through the media. Now, why am I highlighting these two things? Because typically abusive people will do very disgusting, shocking things that will naturally draw attention and outrage. Then, because they know that if they are found to be actually have deliberately done it and be guilty of doing it, they know it will have consequences for them. So they then want to find a way to still hide away from it and even present it as if they never did it or that it was done by the other person. But while they are trying to do all those things to cause harm to the other person, they would also try to find a way to publicize, negatively that person. So they won't just stop with what they are doing to the person inside the house. They will also find a way to try and create the impression outside of the home as well. That's why she was leaking all those things out to kind of build public opinion in her own favor, knowing that she enjoyed an advantage by being the woman. These are things that were done to me by my ex-partner repeatedly over a period of years. Every time there was any it wouldn't even be that I never even shouted at her. I'll be trying to have a sane conversation with her in the house. But the minute she wanted to make a point and she wanted to make sure she shut me up so that I will agree or keep quiet and not bring it up again, she would simply walk into the compound and begin shouting at the top of her voice all the things she knew could embarrass me, like, oh, your father paid your rent, oh, your father gave you money, oh, you don't have money, oh, you run out of money, oh, you don't, anything to cause me embarrassment. She would go into at night in particular and go and shout at the top of her voice next to my neighbor's window, bedroom window, just to cause me to shut up. I never understood why she did it initially when she started showing this behavior. It took me time to realize that actually the goal was to actually force my hand, force me to shut up, because she knew I want to avoid the embarrassment. So in order to make me shut up and allow me to get her way, to have her way, to control me, she would do that. Then when I didn't allow that to bother me and I still went after her and insisted on what I wanted, or refused to budge on whatever it was I decided, she would then tell me I was shameless. When I was on the Relationship 360 show on the radio station Nigeria Info, for the first time ever, I shared the details of how she would excrete in a paint container, my own ex-partner, and try to pour it on me. She would excrete and urinate on it routinely. That was what she did. She refused to use the toilet that the rest of us used, giving some silly excuse. But anyway, she had done it for years, and every once in a while when there was conflict, and I tell you, most of the time it could even be verbal, because I never initiated any physical contact. She would immediately, not immediately anyway, but at some point, if she got agitated enough, she would just go where she put the paint bucket containing the excreta, because she didn't always pour it away immediately, mixed with urine, and she would then begin to chase me around. I would have to start dodging, trying to pour it on me. On 2 separate occasions, she actually went ahead and poured it, and on both occasions I dodged successfully. But on the second occasion, part of it landed on the keyboard for one of the laptops I bought, which was for the kids, and it actually short-circuited the keyboard. I had to replace the keyboard for about 10,000 naira. Now, why do I mention this? I mention this because subsequently, when I reported that incident to a barrister in a law chambers I went, where they had an NGO that I was trying to get to mediate for us, the lady asked her, and I know that the only reason she couldn't deny it was because I actually had, I think, a photo or something, and I written a letter in which I described it in detail. And the woman, she admitted that she did it, and the woman said, "Is this a case of a mental problem or something, madam? What are you doing with excreta and urine and trying to pour it on somebody?" But you see, her goal for pouring it was to say, that's the worst thing you can do to somebody. It's the most humiliating thing you can do to anybody. The goal is to humiliate you. It's the worst kind of thing that can be done to a man, or to anybody for that matter, to pour such a thing on the person. So the goal was to kind of ridicule you and mock you and make it a point, something she could constantly use over time. And I knew from the way she did most of the things she did to me, it wasn't the first time she had done it to somebody else or some people before. Later on I began to remember some of the things. There was an auntie of hers, and I saw the way they used to treat the husband of that one, and then I realized that I missed a lot of the signs. Of course, at that time I was already married to her, already living together. But that's just something I wanted to bring out there, that this lady felt she could get at this man by defecating on the bed. So it's the ultimate form of disrespect you want to give to somebody, and it's something that, how do you outlive that? The man is going to be the one that has to clean it up, or to face the people who cleaned up the hotel room, So I think it's a significant thing to notice. Check to what lengths are they willing to go. It's very telling. So these are techniques designed to control that person, to psychologically intimidate the person. Now, am I bringing it up again? Is to offer you some ideas. If you have somebody you are trying to hook up with, please try and find out what she's capable of doing when she really wants to have her way. Is she the kind of person that's willing to listen to reason with a cooperative attitude, or is she the kind of person that will try to guilt you into accepting? Kevin Samuel always used the acronym sign language: shame, insult, guilt, and it needs to be right. SIGN, the sign language. Women are like that, especially abusive women. Now, he said that, and it's something I found that was consistently done by my ex-partner. And they will do it to you when they are in their element, even before they get married. Even if the person is trying to pretend, quite often, if you push the trigger, if you trigger them, they will manifest those attitudes. And if you're able to get an insight to the personality of the person, because normally people like to be on their best behavior when they are dating. It's only by the time you now begin to stay with each other and you feel you've seen each other, I know people call it see finish. That's when you see the person now feeling that there's no consequence to showing her true self or his true self in case of a man. So it's important to take note of what this woman is saying here, because I think it's a very significant insight that we need to take away. The fact that she went on her own to the public. She began to release things to the media because she wanted to tilt public opinion in her favor. But when the thing now didn't work out for her in the second court case, because the first court case she won, the UK trial has been described by some as a sham, because that judge didn't even allow the man to present all the evidence he managed to present in the second case. So this man chose to fight back. Many other men would have walked away, just feeling, well, the system is rigged against me, there's nothing I can do. This man chose to say, no way, I know that I'm not at fault, and I'm not going to let anybody give me a name that's not mine. And in the process, he has done a great service to many men. And hopefully the rest of us will not let this just be wasted. We're going to take this opportunity and use it to actually build a movement for ourselves. That's what I'm trying to do here with this video, and so many of the other ones I've done before. All right, let's continue.